They'll blanket you in Wi-Fi and profit off the radiation. Congregation collecting the people for that Satan. I keeps it blazing, cause I can read between the lines. I ain't blind, we unwind what they're really saying. Genetically modify what you're tasting. Don't need that cottage promise, so now you live up in your mom's basement. Redesign time so your mind is always wasted. Programmed to crave the basics. Keep the beta in stasis. Pay the state, kid. You're in debt for being born. Messengers are more than just the price for being warned. Don't be alarmed, disconnect from their machinations. Stop subscribing to the folly of own nations. Bone breaking ain't the answer, cause they seek the ownership of souls. Spread the seeds and watch them grow. Break the chains of control. Break the chains of control.
Sweet eternal balance of all that is good, true, and beautiful, friends. Rogueways is very lucky tonight to have with us yet again an especially gifted human connected to messages of source and love, who has developed a skill of translating those messages into ways we can understand and utilize to transmute our elements into their most crystallized versions. Emily Atwood, thank you so much for bringing your gifts to share again with all the rogue warriors out there. And how are you doing tonight?
I am excellent, and thank you for having me.
Yes, it's always a pleasure to have you. We always get into so much goodness and clearing and just healing for people, and it's always a pleasure. So I'm very glad. And we are on YouTube. We are on Rockfin. But if you are on YouTube listening to us, head over to Rockfin. It's way better. It's free. It's easy. And it just supports Rogueways even more. So go do that. And before we jump in tonight, there is a whole host of new and powerful orgone pendants and plaques up on the site. I just got done with them and got them up, and they're awesome. I'm in love with them. So I'm very excited to see who they go to. Each one of them is very specially guided to be created in very specific ways with certain energies, and they're all different. So just go take a look and see if any of them call to you. That's in the Blessed Jewelry section of the shop on rogueways.org. And in other places, if you're in the communities like at locals.com or in the Telegram communities, you've already seen them, so you already know. But otherwise, go check them out. And Emily, the pointless question of the episode today is,
yes,
what's your favorite type of vacation?
Oh, one I actually get to go on.
Yeah.
Would be great. Okay, so my favorite vacation ever was Hawaii. We went for our honeymoon and it was great, but we actually jam-packed it a little too much because we're like, oh, we got to do this and this and this and this and everything. And we got to the end of it and we're like, we sat on the beach for a day. That was really dumb. What were we thinking? So I decided then that, going forward, vacations would be a little less planned out and more actually vacation-y. So that's kind of my goal going forward. However, we are actually planning Disney World and Universal Studios for later this year. Our kids are at just the right age that it's like, if we wait any longer, it's not going to really work anymore. So we decided to actually engage in that particular rite of passage. So we'll see how that goes. And I'm sure it will be jam-packed and there won't really be beach sitting, but
yeah, that's exactly the opposite of my idea of a good vacation, is going to Universal Studios or Disney anything.
I know.
Well,
so
I shouldn't
our
say that.
Ideal though, you want to know my ideal?
Yes.
That someday we'll get to? Hobbiton in New Zealand.
Ooh.
That's kind of, and we want to go do that nerdy trip.
That would be a fun nerdy trip.
Yeah, plus like all the Maori things that are going on there. And I just think New Zealand would be great. So that's the pipe dream vacation one day.
It'll happen. We'll
see. It's out there.
I'm with you though. I like both. Like sometimes I'm going somewhere where there's all this history and there's all these cool things, and especially if it's like ancient structures I can go be near, then like I really want to go, and I'll like hike and travel and catch taxis and buses and everything to do it. And other times I want to just like lay on a beach and just do nothing.
Yeah.
Just let it all happen and not be running around. And the balance is nice too. So I totally feel it. Well, Emily, It's always excellent, of course, to have your skills and abilities here, as I said, and especially for people who can catch the show live. If you're here live, you may get some direct healing and clearing going on, so that's really awesome. But even if you're not, if you're listening to this later or watching this later, just like every time we do this, we always like to point out that it's really happening for everyone. You know, when something comes up to be cleared, it's not just that it's happening on the collective level too, which is always true for any internal work or internal healing that we're doing, but it's also like the I want to say like the aggregate of these various emotions and experiences is always kind of teased out too. And so you're getting benefit no matter who you are, no matter when you are. But do you want to tell people, Emily, just briefly kind of what you do and how you do it and what's going on tonight?
Right. So I'll try to do that sort of briefly.
It's hard to do.
It is kind of. So I'm a Reiki master. I've been a Reiki master for 22-ish years, a long time now. So I did a lot of healing and energy work for myself and for my family for a long time. But what I kept finding was that patterns that I was working with and trying to get rid of and change and all that kind of thing, some of them would go and some of them wouldn't. And so I began to really dig into why those were sticking so hard, some of them. And so that is what led me to figure out how, if I've already gone through everything in my conscious memory, as much as I can think of, to find sources of things that are sort of out of balance is the right word, that are imbalanced in my life, then where else is it coming from? So that's what led me to, I think first I started working with ancestral stuff and dealing with traumas that I could recognize in my grandparents and what I knew about them. And then I began going farther back in that, sometimes way, way, way back to dawn of time kinds of stuff where we were trying to, you know, become human and all kinds of various things that have happened in the course of the earth. And then I began working with past life stuff that is similar, actually, because there's a tremendous amount of experiences and beings and creatures and things that we could have been in other times. So I began working that way. And that's kind of the crux of what I do. There's a lot of other things that, you know, maybe even as we talk, we'll get into, but that's what I'm after. I'm primarily after limitations in thoughts that are associated with feelings. So I consider myself an empath, though I am aware that what that means something different for everybody who is an empath. But I work primarily with emotions. So that's what I'm reading with people, is that I'm sort of reading and working with their emotions. And then with the sort of limiting beliefs that are associated with those feelings. So I guess that's kind of the nutshell of what we're looking for when we start to get into this. Anything else? That's probably a pretty good nutshell.
Yeah, that was a very good nutshell. And
Thanks.
I love seeing it and watching it happen. And, you know, I know a lot of the people who are in the chat right now and who have been in the chat in previous episodes. And so I understand some of their specifics, or I've even worked with them with my own sort of work. And so it's interesting to see that there are problems, there are issues, there, you know, emotional sort of like knots are really do unravel like that tonight. It'll happen for some people, and then over the coming time period too. So I know that it's real. I've experienced it, and I am really excited for all the people who are here today who might be directly addressed. And I do know tonight we were guided to sort of address a very specific cluster of things, and it's interesting. So do you want to share what that is and why you were feeling led to that?
Well, so, you know, we'll kind of see where we go, because anytime I try to get into the future stuff, we're changing that kind of all the time with what we're doing here. Yeah. So, but my sense of what we're going to kind of focus on today has to do with self-care, and then maybe sort of some boundaries and some other things that play into the self-care piece. But that's just been a theme that's been coming up for people. And I keep hearing, even in my own thoughts, a lot, which tends to be sort of a collective pulse, I guess. A lot of things like worn down, burned out, fried, like all these kinds of overwhelmed sensations and feelings and heaviness about that. So that's been pretty commonly coming up the last, maybe even like 3 weeks almost, but seems to be kind of coming to a head.
Yeah, it's
So,
interesting. The timing of that is perfectly aligned too for about 3 weeks. Like when Catherine O'Shea has been on Rogue Ways,
oh yeah,
that theme has been coming up as well. When we did the One Day of Brightness, I think for everybody who presented at the One Day of Brightness that just happened last weekend or recently.
Yeah, it was last week.
Self-care and self-love was coming up over and over again, and all these messages. And I've been I have not felt in any way fried or unraveled or overwhelmed or anything. So I'm like not tapped into that emotionally. I'm not feeling
Lucky
it.
you.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's because of things like the One Day of Brightness and really,
Sure.
really intentional practices and self-love and self-care that I've been doing that keeps it that way. So I think it's obviously the power of self-love and self-care is tremendous, and it can keep you going through even crises and even upheavals and all of these transformations that are going on. So so that's really why I wanted to bring that up, is I think that's exactly why I haven't felt that way, is because I've been self-caring and self-loving hard.
Right.
So, and what I really want to say about that is that I think self-care and self-love is misunderstood often, and people are like, oh, I need like a self-care day. I'm going to go buy a chocolate bar and like sit on my ass on the couch. And I'm like, that's cool. Sometimes that is what self-care and self-love looks like, right? But like way more often it's like, oh, I need to do my meditations today and I really don't want to, but like, I'm just going to do it anyway because I know that I'll feel better afterwards, right? Or like, I don't really want to make a salad and eat a salad, but I'm going to do it anyway because I know that it's like caring for myself on a deep level, even though it's not what my emotional inadequacies would like to lead me towards. And that kind of self-love and self-care, I think, is a lot more rare. I think we have like hype around like self-care that's more of like the chocolate bar couch thing, and way less that's around the like actual taking care of yourself. So what do you think about all that?
Absolutely. I'm 100% with you on that. And it actually came up in a session with somebody like 2 days ago, where it was like, the things I'm doing to self-care are not actually good for me.
They're not actually
like,
caring.
That was exactly the phrasing of it. So of whatever emotion we found at that moment. So it's like, yeah, people will be like, oh, I'm going to have a drink tonight.
Yeah.
I deserve it. This was a rough day.
I deserve to poison myself.
Yes.
Sorry.
Or I mean, yeah, no, for sure. I mean, and that's exactly what I'm saying about that too, is like, yeah, I deserve that extra slice of chocolate cake. And it's so easy to do that. I think we've been sort of trained into that. That a lot of our self-care habits are not doing a good job.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I've seen that same kind of theme coming up.
It's so funny too. I go, I just type in ideas of what certain shows might be like a month out or so, or schedule some or whatever. But one of the shows I had recently on the schedule was for myself was to do a show on self-care and what it actually is and what it actually looks like. And I had to rearrange everything and it didn't happen. But like I said, this has been coming up exactly during the time I planned it for. So I'm like, the universe knew we needed this.
Yeah, I think that would be an ideal goal for us tonight, to work through some of that stuff.
So
yeah, I mean, okay, let's see. We'll ask, should we start with just self-care? Should we start with something group, or I think we should just go into if anybody's volunteering and wants to participate.
Yeah, I should have said it a little bit earlier because I know it's like minute delay on Rockfin, but if anybody would like to volunteer to be sort of get a reading and have some clearing done, all you do is sit there and enjoy, and Emily will do all the work. So, or if you're in YouTube chat, go ahead and volunteer right now because I know you can hear me right away. There's just such a delay. It's pretty severe actually on Rockfin. But this is another opportunity to tell all you YouTube people again, Rockfin's way better. Go to Rockfin. Jasmine Alyssa would like to volunteer.
Okay, we can start there. Let's do that. Jasmine, Alyssa. Okay. Okay, so let's see. So the first thing, so I'll talk through just a little bit what I'm going to do. So I do this head shaking thing. That's my muscle testing. So that's what those of you who can see, that's what you're seeing. So I'm just going to muscle test. They use a chart of emotions plus a handful of ones that have been given to me over time. And they're mostly in my head, which is pretty good at this point, but that's what I'm looking for, is where our emotions are. And then after that, we'll look for the associated sort of thought pattern that goes with it. Ha! You know how I said that they're mostly in my head?
Yes.
I got one that it's not in my head. I want to double check it. Oh, taken for granted. How's that for self-care?
Yeah.
Fits right in. Okay. This is taking for granted that my body knows what it needs. Okay, and horror. So feeling horrified. That I keep hesitating to do what my body is asking. Hatred. Of how difficult it is to make a change this big. Peeved. Okay, let's see. Peeved. That can come up a lot of different ways. So pissed off, aggravated, irritated. No, annoyed. Okay, this one's annoyed. There's like degrees of being peeved, it seems. Okay, so it's annoyed that I find it so difficult to accept change. Ooh, accepting change, that fits in with another theme. Which I think the sort of making changes theme fits in with the self-care theme. So, but those things have both been coming up a lot lately. Any more? Okay, I believe that is all for Jasmine, Alyssa.
I felt like you were actually doing me. So, Jasmine, you and I have a lot in common.
Right? I was kind of like, oh, I can relate to some of these too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially the like horrified that I keep not doing what my body asks. And the other day I had like horrible, just like full inflammation in my whole body. I'm like, why do I keep doing this to myself?
Right, because you want that chocolate bar.
Yeah. Well, really, what I want is wheat and grains. Apparently,
yeah,
they're like the worst. And I know it was like salsa this time. I'll stop making this about me. But anyway,
it's about all of us.
That's true. Yeah, I'm like, salsa is vegetables. Like, come on, it's fruits and vegetables. And no, my body's like, I will kill you. I'm like, damn it. Stop.
Oh boy. All right, so let's see. Should we find someone else? Okay, actually, no. Let's hold off a second. What should we do? Self-care. Okay, let's do like a quick community group 1 and see what we get on that. It's like habit for me to write stuff. I kind of have to break it while I'm doing this because it takes up too much of our time. Okay, peeved again. Oh, this one's pissed off. Okay. Okay, pissed off that the world consists of so many things that can negatively affect my body. Yeah, okay.
That's me.
Salsa, hello. Okay, hatred. Oh, of the way I gravitate towards the things that hurt me most. Sadness. It's because I keep hurting myself. Okay, I think that's all for that chunk of the community. So
I was like feeling that physically in the areas that were recently affected most. I was like,
I kind of feel that in my throat as well. It's yeah, I get a lot of activity in my throat when I'm clearing stuff. It's been nicely absent while we're doing this so that I'm not having to like cough while you're recording anything. But it's fairly common for me to be on the phone with somebody and have to continuously clear my throat while I'm clearing something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's awesome. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, all right. Do we have somebody else who is on our volunteer list? Okay.
Jesus.
Okay. Crying. Okay, and it's petulant crying. Let's see. It's so hard for me to do the right thing. Exclamation point, stomp your foot. Okay, lost. Okay, I don't know. How to get myself to line up with what's right for me. Okay, humiliation. Feeling humiliated by my efforts to create change that won't stick. I'm going out on a limb here, but I'm feeling like this might have a job change association. Or some kind of vocational thing. Okay, we've got peeved again. Okay, irritated. That I've made tremendous efforts to change but the change won't stick. Okay. And again, that could be for a million different things. I just kind of felt like it was job related.
Yeah, no, Jesus is saying you're absolutely right.
Oh, okay. Is there anything we should? Okay, what if we do something like, okay, hold on, let me see if I can get the right thing. Okay, I'm gonna write this one. So my career is in perfect alignment with my soul's purpose. And my elevated consciousness. Whew. Okay.
Nice.
Anyone who needs that one, go ahead and take it.
I'm going to type it in the chat for y'all too, so you can copy paste it if you want.
All right. So when I get to do something like that, where we're adding a new intention in, or a new belief that is, unlimiting us in a way, I always try to clear a little bit around it if there is anything to clear around it, so that we can clear anything that's keeping it from being true and real and all of that. So that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, sadness. Okay, that it's impossible to find a career that fits me perfectly. Anxiety. I'm fearful that I'll always fall short of my desired vocation. Resentment. Of how hard it is to find an ideal position. Period. We got it. Okay, those are the ones. Okay. Let's see. Is there any more for Jesus? I think that wraps us up for Jesus. Thanks, Jesus.
Yeah, thank you. I love that mantra and that state, and I don't, just really quickly, I think everyone here understands this, but you're saying this mantra, and whether or not it's absolutely true for the current experience you're having, it becomes true because you're telling the universe that it's true over and over and over again. So whether that means you shift careers or whatever might happen to make that like fall in line with it. But that's the whole point too, of if you take this and start using it, you may not fully believe it right away, but you're going to believe it the more you say it, and so will the universe.
And that is also why we then pulled any emotions out that were keeping it from being true.
Yeah.
So that we can kind of try to fast track that a little bit, instead of having to say it 100,000 times until we're convinced of it.
Yeah. So we're really lucky to have you here doing exactly that for exactly that reason. That's a beautiful thing.
It's funny. I've had people say to me like, "Oh, I couldn't have done it without you," or that kind of thing. And it's not true. I mean, anybody can do it, but I have sort of figured out how to try to fast track some of this stuff. So, and that's kind of my response is usually, yeah, you could have, it would have taken you a little longer, but you'd have gotten there too. So anyway,
yes.
But so that's kind of, that's kind of what we're doing with those, is trying to fast track those new belief systems.
I love it.
Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see. Is there anybody else?
Yes, we have cosmic mirrors.
Cosmic mirrors. Wow. Okay. Okay, sadness. That my life has been on hold. Anger. Over how hard it is to get back on my feet again. Okay, blaming. Oh, I think it's my illness, blaming my illness for halting my life in its tracks. Peeved. Man, we're a peeved group tonight. Okay, aggravated. So feeling aggravated. Because I can't get myself to move forward again. Anger. Oh, that every step forward is met with defeat. Horror. Horrified that my body has had to start from scratch. Okay. So what, all right, what can we add in here? My body knows what it needs to move forward. And I move forward with my body with ease, grace, and joy. Okay, so that's almost like a mind-body balance kind of thing going on there.
Yeah, I've been having a lot of I don't know how to really describe it. I'll have like a pain, and usually because I have this chronic pain throughout my life, I go straight into like anger and like I didn't do anything wrong and like why is this happening again? And instead I've started saying, okay, my body feels this pain for a reason. It's actually healing itself. It's bringing itself back into whatever balance it needs to be in. The pain is sometimes part of that process, and that's okay. And it has reduced my pain so much to do that, to just acknowledge that like the pain exists and there's a reason for it, and then just like try and let that go instead of like fighting
Amazing.
against it and being like
Yeah.
so angry.
Yep.
So I feel like that's sort of part of that.
All right, so let's see if there's anything we should clear away from that. Yes, okay. Anger, sure enough. Oh, that my body and I don't get along very well. Yeah, okay. Abandonment. Giving up on being able to identify what my body needs to recover. Oh, recover fully. Sadness. Oh, that I've lost respect for my body.
Hmm.
Interesting.
That is sad.
Okay. So that's bringing us around to like a self-respect piece, which falls into our self-care thing. I'd actually written self-respect as like one of the early things that I wrote down that popped in my head. Okay, so should we do self-respect? No, there's still more here. So hold up. Hold up, Emily. Slow down. So anger. Oh, that my body doesn't respect me either. Okay. Okay, let's do another belief here. So my body and I are full of mutual respect for each other. Okay, humiliation. Ashamed by how often I fight with my own body. Anxiety. Fearful that the pain my body brings me doesn't deserve respect.
Hmm.
Okay, what do we still need? All right, we're going to actually just kind of backtrack a little bit to Cosmic Mirror's herself or himself. I'm not even sure. So you think it's
I think it's her.
Okay. I was thinking her too, but okay, so we're going to go. Yeah. All right. So anxiety. Okay, anticipation this time. Anticipating the moment when I will be in alignment with my body in a healthy way. Okay. Okay, that wraps us up.
Whew.
Whew. Blessings to you for that.
Yes. Well, and I'll also throw out there that part of my anger and fear that I get whenever I have a new symptom or a new pain or whatever it is this like just deep like depression and anger and fear that it's gonna never go away, because some of them haven't. Some of them have come and they've never gone away, so every time I'm like, oh god, is this one that's never gonna go away, like, and I freak out. So I have to work through that too and be like, my body's doing what it needs to do, my body's doing what it needs to do, it's gonna be okay.
Okay, I feel like I should talk about that for a sec.
Yeah.
So that is okay, we talk self-care, and we tend to talk about mindfulness a lot with self-care, right? So that's a thing you're doing, but not everybody does. So when we start to talk about limiting beliefs and that kind of thing, one of the things to watch for in your mindful practices is your belief systems like that. So those are beliefs that are limiting you, almost cursing you. If you're sitting there going, oh, this pain is never going to leave.
Yeah.
It's not, you curse it. And we can do this to each other super easily too, where like I have to watch it with my kids, when they're doing some annoying habit and I'm like, oh my God, why won't they stop doing that? Well, they won't stop doing it if I'm going to continue to sit here and say they're never going to stop doing it,
Right.
you know, for a simple fact. So that's been part of my mindful practice for some time since I've been doing this, because being aware of the way our self-talk, really, maybe self-talk's another thing I'll put on our list here. So being really aware of our self-talk. And I can remember being told that you just need positive self-talk, you know, years and years ago when I was in therapy or whatever. And I would be like, I don't really know what that means. You're telling me to do that, and I don't really know what that
or
means.
how to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because so much of the talk in my head was negative, and I really wasn't even aware of it being negative. It was just my thoughts. And until you can really start that sort of mindful practice of listening to your thoughts, which are, by the way, what you believe and what you are creating with every thought. So if we're creating things with every thought, it becomes extra doubly important to be mindful about those thoughts. So anyway, I guess that's just, so maybe we'll work on self-talk a little bit. Should we do that now? No? Okay, maybe we won't. We'll see.
I love it. It's a powerful tool though.
It is. And it's worth looking at, because I think self-talk can be a frustrating thing sometimes when it starts to get into that negative spiral.
Well, and this is also another thing about, you know, we talk about like loving your body, and I think a lot of people are like, think that that means like telling yourself that you're sexy or whatever, you know, like you're the right weight or the right proportion or something that you want to be. But I think it goes back to what we're talking about here, which is like, no, really, like love your body, like respect that it is its own organism that's doing what it needs to do, that does all these things for you all the time without you putting any effort into it, actually. And that you, when you do put effort into it, it gives you even more. And, you know, respect and love your body in that way is like a different message than the sort of, not that you shouldn't also believe that you're sexy and like love your shape and stuff. That's also cool. But I think we focus on that and ignore the part where we're like loving our body, you know?
Right. Yeah. Okay, let's see. To keep us semi on track, right?
Yes.
Do we have anybody else?
Yeah, we've got Rebecca Ann.
Rebecca Ann. All right. Let's go there. Okay, sadness. Ooh. Wow, because the universe is blocking me. Wow. I think it's from moving forward, which is, I think that's the second time moving forward today, right?
At least the second, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. If we get to dig into the universe, that's always fun. Sorry, I have a weird, fun idea.
I love it. I think our fun idea is similar though.
Probably. All right, so anger. That I feel so helpless against the universe. Anger. That the universe and I don't see eye to eye. Lust. All right, so that one, Okay, sometimes that can be the kind of lust we all think of, but usually, and in this case, it is a deep and desperate desire. So to connect with the universe in a healthy way. Okay. This is going to be a good one. All right, let's open up to a new thought pattern here. Okay, the universe is my friend and confidant. Abandonment, giving up, on finding a connection strong enough to bind me to the universe in a healthy way. Okay. All right, I'm just going to write down the word bind because generally I kind of veer away from that. So that seems like a healthy statement, sort of, but okay, hatred. Of the investment I have made in the universe. Okay, that's the end of it. Grief. Okay, so sometimes grief is being given grief, but this one is just grieving. My lack of connection with the loving source of the universe. Okay. The universe and I are one. I hadn't thought of that, but that fits right in with self-care.
Yeah.
And okay, so now I'm just going to talk about this because it's coming up. So we often think about self-care being the opposite of caring for other people. So when we've been doing a lot of caring and giving and all of that, then we start to think, oh gosh, I'm kind of overburdened by that. It's time for me to take some self-care time. And it's an interesting thing because a lot of times there's guilt associated with that because there's this other person who needs our help more and we're just like frustrated by having to help them, but so we should get over ourselves and whatever. But this is all kind of playing into how when we care for ourselves, we are caring for the whole and we are caring for everyone else. And sometimes, well, I mean, if you think about kids in general, the best thing you can do to help care for your kids is take care of yourself so that you're not a frazzled mess or whatever is going on. And the same goes if you're dealing with elderly parents or someone who's ill or whatever, you are going to be a much stronger caretaker than you would be if you're not taking the time to keep yourself balanced. That is all I have to say there.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. It's
But
absolutely
I
true.
think that's feeding us right directly into that. Okay, the universe and I are one. crying, petulant, think it's toothbrushing time. Usually involves some sort of, I don't know why yeah, I don't know why it involves that, but I lost totally where I was. Do we need to go back? All right, we'll let it go. Okay, sadness. Because I feel a great emptiness in my relationship with the universe. Okay, and abandonment. Giving up on being able to identify what I need from the universe and what the universe needs from me. Okay, that's all there. Okay, let's pop back to Rebecca Ann specifically again. Anxiety. Anticipation. Of the overwhelming love I feel for myself as I learn to love the universe. Cool.
I love that.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yes. We have Russell.
Sorry. Okay, let's. I was noticing. Do you remember how we normally do this with a priority kind of thing? And I was noticing that we were just going in order. But I think Russell or Russell?
Russell.
Russell. I think we need to hold off on Russell. Is there someone else?
There's David.
Okay, we need to do David first.
Okay.
This is a thing I've learned in doing this work, is that if we go by priority, it makes it easier to have everything sort of unravel easily. Whereas sometimes you can just be pulling and pulling and pulling, and it gets tighter instead of just falling apart. So that is the reason for doing it out of order. Okay, so David. Okay, anger. That there is no one that there is no one I'm not afraid to confront. This is boundaries right here. Okay, abandonment. Giving up on being able to say what I need when I need it. Another abandonment. Okay, this one is feeling given up on. Because I have tried to make myself clear. Period. Okay, I think we actually need to do Russell a minute, and then we may go back to David. I feel like David's not done.
Okay.
Anger. Because my weight carries no strength. Anger. That the power behind my words keeps me from opening myself to what I need. Anger. That I know what I need, but I struggle to express it. I struggle to express it clearly. Okay, let's go back to David a minute. In case we were all wondering if we were all one or not. Guilt. Yeah, okay. That fits with our self-care theme as well. So feeling guilty anytime I have to demand respect. Hatred. Of how often I have to put myself forward into a role I'm uncomfortable with. Okay, and then back to Russell again. Abandonment. All right, giving up and being able to identify the best way for me to establish dominance without being dominant. Yeah, okay. Okay, I think that's it. That's really interesting that I think, well, that it was like mostly we had females, I think we had Jesus, but it's really interesting that the boundaries ended up coming up for the guys, because I think that is harder for guys to do that now, especially now in our culture. Like you can't be a dominant male. You have to be so careful.
You are
all the
toxic
time.
if you are
Yes,
yourself.
exactly. It's
sad.
it's an unfriendly kind of environment to dominance right now.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Not that long ago, I would have felt almost opposite, that it's much harder for women. And now I'm like, I think you're absolutely right.
It's interesting, right?
Yeah.
It's been kind of a flip on that. And now I feel like guys have to be so careful not to step on anyone's toes all the time. Okay, let's see. Do we have anybody else on our list? Yes.
One more person who has volunteered, and that is Eric.
Eric. Okay, let's do Eric. All right.
And I'm so grateful for the people who volunteer because you bring us all of this. All of this energy is for
So
all of
great.
us.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
This is such a cool way to do like a session.
I love it.
Anger. That my struggle to break free is breaking my heart. I feel it there too. Anger. Okay, so it's anger that my heart holds. And I'm trying to get what's coming next. The pain of my struggle indefinitely. All right, so I'm also just kind of doing some energy release work on Eric's heart right now, trying to get that to sort of open up and release. Abandonment. Feeling given up on. Because I don't know how to empty my heart of this. It's not pain. I thought it was pain. Oh, anguish. It's grief, I think. Okay, lost. Okay, my sense of belonging. Okay, and betrayal. Feeling betrayed. By the love I've lost. Okay, I'm looking for something new to put in here. My heart is full of love and safe from the damage of grief. Okay, sadness. Okay, Okay, and we have horror too. Sorry, we didn't really need to know that sadness. I don't think we need to know the horror either. We're just kind of, and we'll just do a few. Discouragement. Bitterness. I think that went.
Whew,
Okay,
I felt
that's
it go.
good. And hatred. Okay, that one we do need to know. Of how often I've had to experience loss. Okay. Okay. Bless you, Eric.
Yeah.
And
Eric.
thank you for sharing that with us. We all can. It's been a grief-full year, I
Yes.
think, for a lot of people.
So much
all right.
transformation.
Yes, tremendous amounts. And so many things we've sort of left behind, even if it's not just the usual kinds of things we think of with grief. Okay, so do we have more people?
No, those are all the volunteers.
That is it.
And
all right.
if I missed anyone, please let me know, but I am pretty sure that's all the volunteers.
Okay.
Which is perfect. Oh, Eric's electronics all shut down for that entire time. So it was happening whether he knows it or not, but he wasn't here to hear any of it.
Wow, he'll have to go back and check it out.
Yeah, that was pretty powerful. I totally understand too. Eric's on a journey, man. It's awesome.
Cool. So let's see. I want to wrap up doing so I had written self-respect, self-love, and self-talk as like, self words. Do we need to do self-care? I don't think we need to do that specifically. Let's do self-love and just clear around that.
Cool.
Anger. That my love for myself is in question. And abandonment. Feeling given up on. Because I can't find my way clear to loving myself. Okay, that's all for self-love. Let's do self-respect. Self-admiration. Not common, but there it is. Jot that down. Crying. Petulant. Okay, we're taught to respect so many others and not ourselves.
Ah, that's a good one.
Elders was one that just immediately popped into my head. Respect your elders. Anger. That I struggle to command respect from myself. Command respect is a powerful phrase. Okay, I think that's all. Let's do the self-admiration that's trying to come in. Anxiety. Fearful that people will think you're big-headed if you admire yourself too much. Abandonment. Feeling given up on. Because the world doesn't approve of admiring yourself. We got a real uphill battle on all this stuff, don't we?
Yeah. We're literally taught like the exact opposite of what we need.
We really are. Even just self-love too. It's like, don't do that. You can't do that. Oh, because love God is what's coming into my mind. You love God, you don't love yourself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You're like, I love God because I love myself. I love myself because I love God.
Right. But that's like that's that part where it's like that uphill battle of what we're taught, and like respect your elders and all that kind of stuff. Okay, let's do self-talk. Anxiety. Anticipation. Of the next harsh words I have for myself. Abandonment. Feeling given up on. Because I hear my own words more firmly than others. Hatred. So it's hatred of how often I put negative words into myself. Anger. That I tend to believe myself more than others. Okay, I think that's all. Are we finished? Oh, okay. I was kind of expecting that we'd have more. I think those were the things that were on my list. So I was just going to wait and see if there was more to put in, but we put in a lot of good stuff today.
Yeah. We got through a lot of people, and we got through a lot of negative messages and negative emotional clearing, and we added a lot of good messages and mantras and things. Yeah. I know sometimes we end with like an overall sort of mantra. Do we want to?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I was kind of expecting that. But I'm thinking we covered it. I am going to have to go back through and listen, or maybe did you say you put them in?
I've put them in the chat, but they're all throughout, and I only wrote 2 down.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and listen. I didn't write them all down, but I think some of those maybe even the universe and I are one. I did write that one.
There was my heart is full of love and safe from the damage of grief.
Oh, I like that one too.
It is actually easier to find than I thought. So
okay. Good. Thank you for doing that.
The universe and I are one.
Uh-huh.
The universe is my friend and confidant.
I really like that one too.
Very good.
I wrote the career one from early.
My body and I are full of mutual respect for each other.
Oh, I like that too. Okay, see, we did it right.
Yeah. My body knows what it needs to move forward, and I move forward with my body with ease, grace, and joy. My career is in perfect alignment with my soul's purpose and my elevated consciousness. And that was all of them. Yeah. That's a
Awesome.
pretty awesome. I love it because I noticed people in the chat were really, and I always want people to do this, and everyone was doing it tonight where people were really realizing that they have very similar, we all have abilities and skills, and we can all receive messages, and we can all kind of start to clear stuff too. And people were doing it for themselves in the chat and talking about how any of us can receive messages. And I'm like, yeah, that's the whole,
Awesome.
yes, which does not take away from how much you've practiced and how much skill you have and what you can bring to us, but it's just awesome when people realize their own power too and that they can head that
For
direction.
sure. Yeah, for sure.
So I love that. And I do want, before we wrap things up, which feels like so quick tonight, which is just nice that everything just flowed and came together perfectly, but I want you to share how people can find more of you, connect with you, receive your services, connect with you for sessions, and also donate if anyone wants to send a tip for what Emily has done tonight and you want to share your gratitude back.
Well, any of that can be found on emilyatwoodenergy.com. That's my website. There is a contact me page, which I think also does have a donate button on that page. But that's there somewhere. And yeah, I mean, that's where you can find me and all the things about me. And there's even more detail about what I do and where I come from and all that kind of stuff. And there's in the contact me page, you can go ahead and contact me there to request a session or whatever you're looking for. You can also just comment on what we did tonight. That's totally awesome too. I love to hear from people. So
yeah, share your experiences.
I would encourage you to do that. Yeah. And then I do phone sessions only, and we talk for an hour, hour and a half, and we run through whatever it is you're working on. And usually people tend to bring me like, okay, here's where I'm stuck. Yeah. This is what I'm working on. And we can go through some of that stuff and clear out emotions on it to try to get some stuff moving.
It's perfect. Yeah. And it's, if you got benefit today, which we all did, but if you noticed that benefit and you're aware of it, then the benefit you get with a session like that is far exceeds what's happened today. Or maybe I shouldn't put it that way, but it's at least very much more personal and maybe tangible and immediate, I guess. So
for sure. Oh, and I feel like I should mention this too, is that another thing that I really love to do is help people with manifestation. So that would be another thing, like in addition to here's where I'm stuck, you can also bring, I'm trying to buy a house or get a job or whatever, and we can work on any blocks or anything that's in the way of that, then create new affirmations for that to get into that direction too. That is also super fun.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. They go hand in hand, right? We have these blockages sure. And they clear, and then more and more can come to us.
Right. And that, I would definitely expect if we're going to get into, okay, I'm trying to get a job and struggling with this, or I'm looking for whatever, I don't even know what people might be looking for. Jobs are a big one. But that, would bring up then some other good stuff to work on and get rid of, and patterns and things like that. So, but yeah, I love it when people bring me goals.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, it is fun to work with. Well, it's so awesome. And there's really no end to this. And I know you're coming back again, probably in about a month or so or two, or we'll see, right? So everyone can look forward to that. But in the meantime, what are some final thoughts or messages or ideas that you want to leave people with?
I guess right now I'm feeling like we need to just sort of accept that it's okay for us to take care of ourselves. That seems to be the big theme. And those boundaries, we got to do our best with the boundaries, even though sometimes that really feels like fighting uphill. But yeah, I think that's where we all are right now, and we're working on that. So I would just encourage you to keep yourself in mind when you need to do that kind of stuff, and know that when you put yourself first, you are putting other people first.
And you're worth it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Emily. Fellow travelers of the path, it is a beautiful thing. And this has been your analog, electric, concentric dose of wisdom according to the clearer of ancestral trauma and otherwise, Emily Atwood. Emily, thank you so much for being here tonight on Rogueways again.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks, everybody, for all your contributions tonight.
Yes, and thank you to everyone who volunteered. The cycles of time and movement through the universe are vast, ancient, and nearly unfathomable. Don't pretend you have to master them. Powers and patterns far beyond our ken swirl all around us. Your goal and your role is to flow through the eddies, peaks, and troughs of the swirling vortex motion of the sine curve of eons exactly as you are, exactly where you are, with all of your beautiful and unique gifts and experiences and abilities exactly as they are, following the path you find before you one moment at a time. And until you master the flow state through the infinite, travel well, aim for balance, and always look inside first. Mwah.
Ah.
Domestic terrorists.
They're not wearing masks.
Domestic terrorists. It's that basic, it's that simple.
And the question is, how are we going to really almost deprogram these people?
These extremists, authoritarians, fascists, bigots, racists, nativists, even libertarians.
They're not wearing masks.
Let us never tolerate outrageous conspiracy theories. Oversensitize them to what we have to do.
Potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist.
We've made it our mission to limit the spread of this disease and to limit the risks to lives and to our economy. We've been clear from the beginning that getting together in groups outside of your household that is not permitted is not
And we need to make it clear to them that the vaccine is the ticket back to pre-pandemic life. And the window to do that is really narrowing.
This nation, this idea called America, was and always will be a new world. Our new world.
Today we're taking steps to confront not just the gun crisis, but what is actually a public health crisis.
They're not wearing masks.
You know the old expression about snitches? Well, in this case, snitches get rewards. We want to thank you for turning folks in and making sure we are all safe.
Are you proposing taking away their guns, and how will this work? I am.